Hey guys, welcome back to even more Fire Emblem Heroes content. For today's video, I decided it would be fun to talk about Choose Your Legends 6, even though it's like 5 months out. It's definitely untimely, but in my opinion, that's what makes it interesting, because we only just got the CYL5 characters, and so we haven't had that much time to really talk about or even really think about CYL6. So I think you may find this interesting. If you like this kind of content, go ahead and subscribe, I appreciate it. I will try to put out videos on a slightly more consistent basis. I will do my best. Our goal today is to basically just predict who might win CYL6, top 2 on men's side and top 2 on women's side. When I tried to make this video the first time, I got too carried away looking at surveys and polling data and stuff, and I looked at too many numbers and I hurt myself in confusion. So I'm gonna try and boil it down a little more this time. A half-hour long video where I analyze old CYL results could be interesting, but I'm gonna try and shorten it so that I don't exhaust myself or you. It's kind of funny this video turned out this way because in the first place I just wanted to basically throw out ideas for what the Brave costumes might look like this time, but then I realized I couldn't do that without coming up with a prediction first for who will actually win. So why don't we start by just looking at the CYL5 results. Obviously we had Gatekeeper winning everything with 72,000 votes. We had Marth, Marianne, and Erica winning as well. There's a couple things that stand out. First of all, we have Chrom getting even more votes than the winners on the women's side. Male Byleth is the other runner-up on the men's side, and then on the women's side we have female Byleth and Bernie. So based on that alone, we could be looking at both Byleths, Chrom, and Bernie. That would certainly be an interesting result. I think people would be very happy having 2 Byleths in the in the final 4, or in the top 4. So like I said, I did a whole lot of comparing vote totals to CYL4, and if you do that, one thing that sticks out is that most characters lost votes going from CYL4 to 5, which was kind of interesting. So for that reason, if there are any characters that actually gained votes going from 4 to 5, then that is definitely worth noting. So for example, Marth gained votes, Marianne gained a ton of votes, Erica, etc. The one that stands out is Chrom. Chrom gained a ton of votes. So I'm gonna go ahead and conclude already that Chrom is probably gonna win. He may even get like the most votes out of anybody. What I noticed was that out of all the characters that lost votes going from 4 to 5, I think most of them were Three Houses characters. So Dorothea lost votes, as an example. I think she may have lost the most. Female Byleth, even though she still finished pretty high up, she still lost like 10,000 votes. Bernie lost like 20,000 votes. So what we're seeing here is the Three Houses characters, they're kind of falling off a bit, with some notable exceptions. What I think was happening here is not only were people getting kind of fatigued by all the Three Houses content in Fae, I think also just once these characters got added to the game, people felt less compelled to vote for them. And I think what demonstrates that point is the fact that Marianne got so many votes, presumably because she wasn't in the game yet. She was like one of the few Three Houses characters that wasn't in the game as of CYL5 voting. Now, that's not like the only reason. There's this other X factor with CYL voting where halfway through voting they show us the midterm results, and that always shakes things up. What happened with CYL5 was they released the midterm results, and I think people saw that Marianne was like number 3 on the women's side, and so everybody like rallied to vote for her. That kind of stuff is hard to anticipate, so that's part of the reason why I don't think it's worth it to do like a huge analysis of old CYL results, because there's just a lot of unpredictable things that can happen. But yeah, if we take this as proof that the Three Houses characters are falling off partially because they're getting added to the game, then that could mean that we actually won't get three. Hold on, that might mean we won't get Three Houses characters. So we might not get both Byleths as well as Bernie. Although, interestingly, male Byleth in particular actually gained votes going from CYL4 to 5, just barely. I think it's worth noting because everybody else lost votes. Kinda on a similar note, Felix actually didn't lose as many votes. I think that's worth noting because when CYL5 voting was happening, at that time we had just gotten a Felix alt added to the game, so I think that speaks to Felix being pretty popular. Circling back to male Byleth, I kind of wonder if for COAL6 people won't vote for him as much because we now have his legendary alt in the game. I kind of suspect that once characters have their legendary alts added, they don't do quite as well in COAL voting. I think another example of that would be the fact that CYL5 just randomly lost a bunch of votes going from 4 to 5, because in between CYL4 voting and 5 voting, we did get legendary CYL5 added. So if we assume that male Byleth might fall off a little bit because of his legendary alt, and we assume that Felix's popularity will kind of hang in there despite being in the game, then we could be looking at Felix getting second place instead of Chrom. Okay, so the women's side is always the less predictable one, I feel like, because like we had CYL2 where Veronica came out of nowhere, and then like even like CYL3, Micaiah actually didn't do that well in CYL2, but then she ended up winning CYL3. CYL4 was pretty straightforward, but then CYL5, obviously we had Marianne kinda coming out of nowhere. So once again, hard to predict, but if we have to predict, then I would say that female Byleth will still probably win. As for second place, Bernadetta certainly could get second. She has some points in her favor. There's the fact that Bernadetta is just a very popular character. You might remember when Three Houses came out, Bernadetta was literally the most popular character in the game, according to like a Famitsu poll. I think her popularity has fallen off a little bit since then, but there's also the fact that before CYL5 voting, she just had a Christmas alt added, and she also had like her base version added by that point, so the fact that she got so many votes despite already having 2 alts in the game kind of speaks to her popularity. So I think Bernie could win, but I kind of wonder if the fatigue from all the Three Houses characters is going to encourage people to basically rally behind someone else. Like, for example, the midterm results might come by, and like people will see that female Corrin is like number 3, and so then people will like rally her to number 2. There's also just some random characters, kind of like Adult Tiki, where like if she is in the top 10 on the women's side in the midterm results, then I could definitely see people pushing her up to first or second. So the women's side continues to be very hard to predict. For my prediction, I guess if I had to land on a prediction, I would actually say female Corrin. But that is me kind of anticipating that people will rally against Bernie, so I don't know if that's a smart prediction or not. So there we go, we have our top 4. We have Chrom, Felix, female Byleth, and mystery character, Corrin. So now that we pretty much have our tentative prediction, I thought it would be fun to speculate what these characters might get for their Brave Alts. If we start with Chrom, that's kind of the hardest one right off the bat to make a Brave Alt for. That is without it being kinda underwhelming. So yeah, my first thought is that he might just be some kind of like Lance Infantry or maybe Lance Cavalry, because that is the other weapon he can use in Awakening. They kind of screwed themselves because we already have Paladin Chrom in the game, and he would have made a really good Brave Alt. I suppose they could do Risen King Chrom, but I don't think they want to do like Fallen Alts for CYL. I guess they could have him in an outfit that's reminiscent of Emrin, and then he could be like a staff unit or a mage. I don't know if that's what people want from a Chrom alt, but I suppose the possibility is there. For what it's worth, I guess we actually don't have an iteration of Chrom in the game where he's just an infantry unit with his Great Lord outfit. So I guess they could just do that and give him some kind of lance, or maybe a new falchion. As we move on to Felix, I forgot to mention, I actually posed this question to my Discord, so some of these ideas for the Brave Alts actually came from my Discord. Join the Loop Troop Discord today. Also, when it comes to Three Houses characters getting alts added through CYL, I kind of have this theory where they just are never going to add the post-time skip versions of these characters outside of CYL. Because so far on the new Heroes banners, we've only seen the pre-time skip versions of the characters. And they usually have like their preferred weapons that sometimes they can't even get until post-time skip, like Annette, for example, has her Crusher. So I actually feel pretty strongly that we're just never gonna get those units as as new Heroes units, which means that the post-time skip versions of the characters are pretty much always going to be fair game for CYL. With that in mind, for Felix in particular, there's actually a lot of different possibilities because people like to build him a couple different ways. The first one that comes to mind is actually just as like a Wyvern Knight. He could just be a Wyvern Knight and he would be really strong. He'll probably have some kind of solo effect, some kind of no follow-up effect. You get the idea. If they want to get creative, they could do some kind of sword savant character, right? Isn't that what the class is called? I played Blue Lions once, and I made Felix a sword savant, and I regretted it because he wasn't that good. But yeah, they could do that kind of route for him. I think that's kind of what they assume you'll do with him. I actually don't know. But yeah, if they want to get creative with it, he could be a sword unit that also like uses magic when he attacks at range, you know? So like his perf would say like when unit attacks from a distance, targets foes res. Something weird like that. Also, I'm actually not convinced that he'll have his Aegis shield in his Brave Alt because they might save that for just his vanilla version. So I'm actually going to go ahead and say that he probably will not have the Aegis shield in his Brave Alt. For female Byleth, there are a lot of possibilities because you can build her a lot of different ways, just like Felix. I think it would be cool if they actually made her a Pegasus Knight, because that's just how people like building her in Three Houses. So she could be like a Lance Flyer, or maybe like a Mage Flyer with Seraphim or whatever. She could be a Sword Flyer with Distant Counter. Lots of possibilities. They could also do some kind of outfit based on Geralt, although I think that would look better on male Byleth and female Byleth. They could actually do the alt from Smash Bros, where she actually dresses like Sothis. I think that could be neat, although I don't know what weapon she would use in that case. What if they just add like the Smash Bros version of female Byleth, where she gets to use all the different house leader weapons? I don't know how that would work in gameplay. Maybe it would just be like her special proc, she just whips out all the weapons and uses them. They could also just do like the enlightened version of her, kind of like legendary Byleth, but that would be boring. And finally, we said our tentative prediction was female Corrin, so if I had to come up with a brave version for her, my first thought was actually the design we got of the Corrins from the Cipher, where they have like their Valite outfits on. And I'm pretty sure that outfit was designed just for the Cipher, so that's not like from Fates. But yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool. And then she could have like Omega Yato or whatever. I don't think the Omega Yato is actually in the game at all, in Fae, that is. In fact, I don't even think we have like Dusk Yato or Dawn Yato. We only have the one Yato on launch Corrin, which is just kind of funny. Also, come to think of it, I think every iteration of female Corrin has been a dragon, so getting a version of her that's not a dragon would be kind of nice. And finally, I'll just throw some ideas out there for a couple others. Male Byleth, I mentioned they could do Geralt. They could design him after that. I think male Byleth has like an assassin outfit from the Cipher, so I suppose they could do that, although he would just be like an infantry sword in that case. If Bernadetta wins, they could actually give her the Inexhaustible, since that's like her crest weapon, but I don't know about you guys, but I don't relate that weapon to Bernadetta at all. I relate it to like Leone, because in Three Houses, that's Leone's paralogue. That's the one where you unlock the Inexhaustible, and like Leone is seeking that bow out specifically. So even though it correlates to Bernie's crest, I don't really associate it with her. But even still, it would be a good idea for a Brave Vault, and they can make it any color they wanted. It wouldn't have to be like a colorless bow. And that's it for all of the ideas I had, and also all the ideas that I lifted from our Discord. So thank you to those people who gave me those ideas. In the comments, go ahead and let me know who you're going to support in CYL6. I think at this point, since we've had so many like popular characters win in the top 4 in CYL, I wonder if more people are going to start voting for characters further down. Because if you already have like the Brave alt that you want in the game, then there really isn't much incentive for you to vote for like Chrom, for example, because you know he's gonna win anyway. We have seen in the past that they appear to use CYL rankings as a way to decide which characters to add in the upcoming year. So, are there any characters in Fire Emblem that have not been added to Fae yet that you would like to see? Let me know. I'm gonna go ahead and throw out my support for Braum, because he's cool and he's not in Fae yet. So if you can spare a vote for Braum, not Chrom, Braum. If you can spare a vote for Braum, then I would appreciate it. Of course, COAL6 voting is like 5 months out, so I will remind you then. So let me know who you're going to support in the comments, and you're free to go. I'll see you next time.